Hey guys, what's going on, Dan? We're back.
We're back. They didn't cancel us after the first episode.
Episode 0. Episode 1
with Kevin Johnson.
That's right. Episode 1 with Kevin Johnson. So they didn't cancel us. We actually got 2 episodes in the can then. And, we're still actually doing our podcast. This is amazing.
Speaking of canceled, I saw that your favorite show got canceled just recently.
What show is that?
The reboot of Magnum P.I.
There was a reboot?
Yeah.
No.
They rebooted the show.
No, I know they did. I just never watched it. So
yeah, I didn't even realize it was still. When I saw that it was canceled, I couldn't believe that it was still actually on. So
you can't get better than the first one. I mean, come on, man. It's Magnum P.I. is Magnum P.I. But I understand what they were trying to do. So, but yeah, it was from what I heard, people liked it. I mean, It's on for 4 seasons. Yeah, that's a good run for any show. It's a great run. So, but
good run. I guess they get some syndication or something streaming.
Yeah, and
I don't even know how it works anymore. With you don't have to get to 100 episodes anymore to stream.
I think with The Enemy Within was only 1 season, and that still streams places.
Cool.
I get checks for that, residual checks. I'm just like, what? It's still playing? It only did 1 season, but obviously, it's playing somewhere. Yep. So if I keep getting money for it, I mean, my 42 cents, which is always amazing. But
my wire checks are always like 15 cents. It's great.
Oh, I love those checks. I actually donate those now. Anything less than $1, I donate to the SAG fund, the SAG SAG Foundation. So
right.
But yeah, anything less than $1, and I don't have them send me physical checks anymore. I get a direct deposit on everything.
Yeah.
So that way I don't wind up with 20 letters in the mail, which, it's just a waste of paper and postage and everything else.
Yeah. But it is still fun when you get those, more than one, like, hey, I'm an actor today. So.
Yeah, it's fun when they come in the mail and they're like hundreds of dollars and not 42 cents. So that's the fun.
Well, here out in LA, there's a bar called Residuals. And if you have a residual check that's less than $1, you can take it there and they'll give you a beer. So so that makes it worth actually getting the check. And
okay, maybe I need to go in and change my settings
when you get to LA.
Yeah, when I get to LA, which will never happen. I'm never going. I'm only going there to visit, and so that's it. That's it. So, Dan, this is exciting. We got some cool stuff to get to today, and a great guest that they're gonna talk to in a little bit. But do we have to do a theme song or something?
We have to do a theme song. We won't wait till late in the show this time.
I know. I think last time we waited 40 minutes before we did the theme song.
The episode 0.
Yes. So I think
take it away, Jeremy.
There it goes.
Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Oh whoa whoa whoa. Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah.
And there it was, the theme song. How fantastic was that?
That is so good.
Oh, Jared, we got to get him to do another one, but we will. We'll get him to do an updated version of Appletinis.
Just for the podcast.
Yes, Appletinis the Podcast. Oh, yeah, we'll see if he can swing that for us. He'll probably charge us because we're big time now. We're doing a podcast.
So big.
He's gonna charge us like $1 zillion. Well, he's a Romanian X Factor winner, so that's got to be worth something, right?
I mean, yes, definitely.
I guess. I don't know. What's the going rate for the Romanian X Factor winner?
Well, and is it in euros or is it in?
It's euros. Going to be euros, but euros are like I think it's like $1.90 now per. I don't know what it is. So I knew last year when I was in Austria, and it wasn't good. I'll tell you that right now. So everything costs double, triple. It was crazy. I was like, what? How much? That's insane.
You were glad you couldn't go out anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get to it, man. We got a fantastic guest. So he's blowing up too, by the way. I mean, I've seen him in some really cool projects coming up, but we call him Shrave, right? It's Shrave. But Shravan Amin. He's a professional actor whose work you can catch in the final season of Ozark and in the 4th season of Dynasty. Pretty soon you'll find him on AMC and FX in Redacted. He's worked in DC, he's worked in Philadelphia, Richmond, Boston, in over 20 stage productions. On occasion, he performs improv at UCB and Pitt Theaters in New York. So let's bring on Shrave. Hey, Shrave, give me a second. I'll bring you on. There he is.
What's up?
Hey.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Good. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, cool.
We're happy to have you, man. Good to see you. We've missed you around here, around the DMV.
Around these parts. Yeah, exactly.
For the people that are listening to this, hopefully the person outside of our friends that are listening to this, the DMV is the DC, Maryland, Virginia region. Yeah. So we have a whole acting family community here, and Shrave is part of that. And he's moved a little north. He's out of the DMV now, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
He's hanging out in the Big Apple.
But I left my heart in DC, in the DMV.
In traffic.
I think we need
on the Beltway.
I think we need a song for that.
It's on 495 somewhere. Yeah.
It's on 495 getting run over by many a vehicle right now. Just just bouncing it all over the place. So, but it's so good to see you, man. You used to come by my studio back in the day, about 10 years ago, because that's when I had the studio. It was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but we miss you down here. I'll tell you that much. And what we want to know is, and Dan, you had the first question for him. So if you want to throw that out there, and then I'll add.
Well, I
saw
questions. That you went to GW and you were an economics, international affairs, and math. Was that a multi major so how do you go from that to acting and what was that path?
Yeah, it was a double major. It was economics and international affairs, and I minored in math. Okay. But that's just silly details. My journey to acting, like I've never done any acting really before 2011, I would say. 2011, my sister actually asked me to MC her dance recital. This was like a traditional Indian dance. Like they have to go through this graduation ceremony kind of thing. And it's about like a 2-hour long thing. And you basically have to, as an MC, you have to describe all the different dances she'll be doing within the next 2 hours or the next 2 hours. And it's relatively like, the material is actually kind of dull because you're just listing like the history of the dances and terminology that people, I guess, can go through 1 year or come through 1 year and go out the other. It's like, whatever. But I had such a good time preparing for that. Like I took my time getting really well versed with the script, and then I added jokes and then some random comments here and there. And on the spot on the day of, I was, I don't know, just riffing off of the audience, making fun of things, and in a lighthearted way and stuff. And I was like, I was making fun of my sister, like, yeah, I could do better than that, and she gets that from me, or whatever. Like, she's older than me. So like just having a good time, and the audience loved it. Everybody like enjoyed listening to me, and afterwards people were like, you should be an anchor, you should do this, you should do that. And at that point I was just like, I don't know, this is my first time doing something like this. I had a good time, but that kind of stuck in my mind for the next few months. And couple that with just working at a job that I didn't really enjoy doing. Like I was, not that I hated my job, but I was working pretty much in front of a computer for 9-10 hours a day.
Right.
For 6-7 days a week.
I know for a fact I couldn't do that. I could not do that.
I couldn't keep doing that. I knew that for a fact. And it's like I had to do something. And so I decided to explore options. I took an improv class. I took a voiceover workshop, which was all right. It was cool. And then really one thing led to another. I took acting classes. I started doing as many workshops, and that's how I found you guys at Studio Bo. Mm-hmm. I think it was an improv workshop with Michael Johnson.
Yes. And Michael, we've worked with him a lot over the years, and he's a great instructor. But
Yeah, and then I just kept doing it.
Which is important. I think, as an actor, getting out and just keep doing it and keep going and keep going, because you're going to be so much better the 100th time you do it than the first time you did it.
Exactly. And I think
that's funny, because I didn't realize that that improv workshop was probably in the 2012, 2013 timeframe. So that was right as you were getting into all this. And I wouldn't have known at the time. I would have thought you'd been doing this for years. Coming across you then.
Yeah, it was my first. I don't know. It wasn't my first improv class, but it was like right in the beginning of my sort of journey. Yeah. And I remember distinctly, I think you had like a little placard or like something, a sign that said, "Don't suck," or something.
Suck less.
Suck less, right?
Suck
and that's no, but that's important, right? Because today you're gonna suck. Tomorrow you're gonna suck a little less. And the day after that you're gonna suck a little less after that.
And that's why I have that. So, because you just got to keep going. You got to keep doing it, and you got to keep doing it. You just have to trust in that you're going to get better. And the one thing that was really cool about you when you first started out was you had a knack for it. You had a natural talent for it, and it showed. And like Dan said, we'd have thought you'd been doing it for years.
Well, thank you. But it took a while to get there, and then still long ways to go after that too. But thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, and there are a handful of actors that have come through Studio Bo that I would say that came through and were like, when I saw them for the first time, I was like, that guy's going somewhere, or that girl's going somewhere. And you were one of those people that came through the studio, and I was like, he goes to New York, he goes to LA, he's gonna do it. He's gonna book some really cool stuff. So.
Well, I hope so. I'm just trying to do the work. That's all that really you can do, because you never know. There's no guarantees.
No, there isn't, and we all know that. I mean, it's exactly. It's an industry based on rejection. It's like one right after another. It's a no, 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 but then you get the yes. And we're going to talk about one of your big yeses coming up in a little bit. But what do you prefer? I mean, I know you've done. You said in the bio I read you did 20 stage productions, right?
Yeah.
And you've done some film and television stuff. What do you prefer? Do you prefer being on stage? Do you prefer doing film and TV work?
I would say if the money, if the sort of was equal, then I would prefer to do live theater, because I think there's something special about having a live audience in front of you and having them react right then and there.
Sure.
But right now, my focus, I would prefer to do film and TV, not just because of money, but because that was always my end goal, to do film and TV. Mm-hmm. But there's a special place in my heart for live theater, live improv.
Right.
But so let's just say theater is what I would prefer. But whatever.
It's so funny that most actors feel that way. Live theater is where it's at. I mean, I love live theater, but I don't do much of it because it takes up a lot of your time, and it in some cases just doesn't pay the bills.
No.
So
and you got to do it for a really long time consistently in order for it to pay the bills.
Exactly.
Which not many people do.
No. You can't get to that point. I don't think. Well, not in the DMV, right? But in New York, I think you can get to that point and then work outside of New York, like you're on tour or whatever with a company, and then I think you can make a living doing it. So.
But that's also, that's a completely different lifestyle too, which I don't necessarily want.
It is.
Right. Yeah.
It is. So Dan had it in his questions, Dan, the question about switching from DMV and moving to New York. What are the differences there? What's the difference between working here and working there?
I would say just the opportunities. Like, obviously the cities are different because New York and DC are different. I would say, the quality of the actors are the same. Like everybody's very talented. Like if you put in the work and study the craft of acting and you practice the art of active crafting, the craft of acting. If you work at it, you can be good in any city. So I don't think there's like New York is special. It's just that there's more opportunities there, obviously. Right.
Yeah, so, and there's more people too. More competition.
Yeah, more people. And more competition as well. Yeah.
So, But yeah,
I prefer living in DC. I would prefer, if I could have best of both worlds, I would choose to live in DC and have all the opportunities of New York or LA or Atlanta.
Well, the good thing is that you're on a track right now, and I think you're going to get to the point where you're going to be one of those actors that could probably live wherever they want at some point.
I hope so. Yeah, that would be great. But yeah.
So I think that's the track that you're on. You're going to be at that level, and you might still have to audition for some stuff. But what I'm saying is they're going to be coming to you. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Let's get there first, right? I don't want to.
You're getting there. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah,
exactly. Right, you are getting there. Let's not diminish the things that you have achieved.
That's
in
true.
your career so far, because they're pretty cool things. And I know one of them. And Dan, I know you saw it in Glory Days. So if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So you were just talking about your improv background, and a couple of years ago you had the Fanduel commercial. And I got to say, I was in a Glory Days at one point, and I felt like for a chunk of that season, I want to say it was either 2019 or 2020. It definitely wasn't 2020 because I wasn't in a Glory Days watching football because we were all locked down. But when that thing was running, it was running basically in every commercial break on every football game. And there's one point where I saw you on 8 different TVs in a Glory Days at the same time. Like I was like, wow, this is awesome. And by the time I tried to get a picture of it for you, it was gone.
I wish it was a Union commercial.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But you know what? So many people saw you. So many. I mean, every time I was watching football, you were on.
Right.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, he came to the studio. He's in our studio. It's all because of me that he's been. No.
It's all because of everything that happened that we've done. Everybody's done, right? So
exactly. But
so how much of that was the audition process or the shoot itself was improv driven, or was that just what they wanted and you sort of landed that from the script?
That's a good question, because there was a script which they were literally changing up to the last minute. So I was like, I'm not even gonna bother memorizing it because it was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I spent like a good 2 or 3 hours memorizing the script cold the night before the shoot, and then an hour later at like 10 p.m. they sent me another script. I'm like, screw this. But no, there was a script during the audition process. It felt relatively tame compared to what we did on set. Like they just wanted us to react to each other pretty much. And like the note that the director would give us would be like, you guys are now do one take where you guys are like 2 finance bros and you're duking it out, like trying to what's the term, like out dick size each other, like, big measuring contest. Right. And then next take would be something different. Like you're more passive, or he's more passive in terms of what you guys want. So it was, and on the day of, they just let us play.
That's cool.
Like the laugh that you hear me doing, that's my friends from high school say that's my traditional like signature laugh, the Shrave laugh that I used to do watching stupid movies in theaters.
And that's fantastic. I really enjoy when I have a director that's like that says, yeah, just have fun with it and just be you. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So when you work with a director, is that something that gives you more energy and just like, yeah, well, I could be me. You're telling me to just be me. I'm in. So
in something like that, where I have complete natural instincts for, then that gives me a lot of energy. But then there's like some more dramatic things where I could take it either way. Yeah. Like I just did a shoot last week, 2 weeks ago, where once I got more direction from the director, then I was boom, 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 rolling along. But before that, I was like, I don't know exactly which way to commit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense too. Because in a drama, you explore it so many different ways before you get there, and then you get there and you're just like, okay, well, which way do they want? I don't, I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, direction in that sense, is helpful. But I just love, especially when I do comedy, just have fun with it and be you. Yeah.
And if they like your essence, they're gonna hire you, because
exactly
it could be you could have made the completely wrong choices, like in terms of what eventually ends up on screen, but the fact that you played and just had a good time, that's all that really matters.
Cool. And that's something one of our last guest, Kevin Johnson, I've heard him talk about before too, is that there's a reason they picked you for the audition. There's something about you that stood out to them.
Yeah.
And so when you bring you to that audition and to that shoot, that's what they were looking for.
Right.
That it's you in the character, but it's still you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I really do. So this show is called Appletinis the Podcast, right? And usually on our live show, we're drinking appletinis, we're drinking beer, we're drinking wine. Dan usually drinks bourbon. So I know we're not drinking today. I know you're drinking hot chocolate, but if you were to go out and order a drink, what would it be?
I do like a good bourbon. I don't have names, to be honest with you. I don't have like this bourbon 1987. I don't do that.
Sure.
I just get a good bourbon, or any good bourbon cocktail. Like you go to one of those like fancy restaurants and they have the cocktails, and one of them has like bourbon, honey, and something, apple, something in it.
Sure,
I'll get that. I like a good tequila too, as well.
I hear that tequila. Some tequilas are so smooth when you drink them, just like and then again, some are really harsh, and then the next day you wake up, you got a serious headache because you drank one. Right?
I know.
So
yeah,
but bourbon, you're a bourbon guy.
Yeah, and I like them neat, usually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I drink appletinis. I know, Dan. What's your bourbon, Dan, that you've been drinking lately?
My go-to is I have a table full of bourbons out there, but my go-to when I'm making a drink around here is Larceny. It tastes a lot more expensive than it is, so I
feel like you would have a lot of bourbons, and I just want to come over to your house and just have a bourbon.
Anytime. It's a new development. I was always a wine and beer guy, but I stopped drinking beer and moved on to bourbon. Right as the COVID was starting, and that was a really bad combination of depression, quarantine, and brown liquors.
Yeah.
Yes.
A friend of mine brought over an Irish whiskey. He went to Ireland for a week, and he came back with Jameson from the distillery. And in the past, you couldn't get me to drink Jameson because it was too harsh. It was just too harsh for me. Mm-hmm. But this bottle he brought back from Ireland, from the distillery itself, was so smooth. It was and if you ever get an opportunity to go to Ireland and go to the Jameson distillery, get the whiskey there. I'm going to recommend it because it's so smooth and it was so good. And I was like, oh my God. But then you go to the store here and you buy the same, you buy a bottle of Jameson. It's not the same. It's really not. So anyway.
Now, do you have a favorite place? What is your, either down here or up there, what is your go-to place for a drink or a cocktail or whatever it might be?
I don't have one in New York because I feel like my time in New York was so, like in the city itself, was so blurred because I was there for a couple of years and the pandemic happened, and then I kind of moved out. In DC, I like, my friends and I used to go, it doesn't exist anymore, Front Page in DuPont Circle.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they had really good happy hours on Thursdays, and we would spend all Thursday evenings there. It was just the best of times. But then there's also a place in, I think 18th Street area where it's called Bourbon, which is great too.
Dan's writing it down. He's writing it down.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, speaking of Dan, there's a place called Dan's Cafe, but it's like the trashiest bar you could ever go to.
It sounds like it's perfect for Dan.
Sounds good. I don't think you guys would enjoy that place.
Oh, I love places like that. I really do. Just to go in and see what the people are like. I mean, as an actor, I'm a people watcher. I love to
research.
Yeah, I love to experience people. And I just love to watch people, and I just love to see how they interact with each other. So yeah, I would love it. I would actually love going to a place like that. So I hope I don't get beat up though. That's the.
No, it's all like a bunch of teenagers and college kids.
I'd probably get beat up.
All the Dave Grohl teenager punks from DC, the Fugazi and Black Flag shirts, and yeah.
So, Shrave, we also like to talk about on this show. We talk about being positive and being, because you've achieved a certain level of success. You've done some really cool stuff in your career, and you didn't expect to go into this career at the beginning. But what was it? What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What's the passion that drives you forward in this industry?
I would say it's very simple. It's just I know what I want. Like I have a goal in mind, and I want to make it happen. I want to make it happen. So I think that's just what it just I don't know. It just drives me, and I see. And it's a few seconds that I'm on, not the few seconds, but it's the time that I'm on set and I'm really clicking with the other actor and I forget that there's a camera right there staring right into my eyes. Because at first I was like, oh my God, there's a camera. And I would look at the camera sometimes because I was so nervous. But that moment where where the nerves go away and you're just so focused on the other actor and what they're saying and what they're doing, it just feels so good. This is like, I belong there. Like that's where I belong.
I think that's really important. What you just said, that you belong there, and that's the place where you find joy in the world. It's my home. It's where I should be, right?
And in the beginning, in like my first few on camera jobs, like I said, I'm so nervous on set. And we can talk about Ozark later, but I was so nervous on Ozark that I was hyper aware of everything, and sometimes I don't feel like, is this for me? Like, should I be here? Can I cut it? But then few shoots down the line, it's like, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, you belong there. So I know a lot of actors when I even get that feeling sometimes. Like when I did House of Cards and Robin Wright was sitting right across from me, I had that same feeling. I was like, do I belong here? Right. Yeah. And I was really nervous. But like you said, it's not like that anymore. When I get on set, it's time to just dive in and do what we do. Right.
And I'm also wondering, so it depends. You kind of came into Ozark, and I think we're heading down the stretch.
We're talking about Ozark now. Here we go.
Yeah.
But, you came in their swan song, in their final, in like the last 3 episodes. So this thing had this momentum that was heading to the finish line, as opposed to like when Ken or I were on Veep, it was just starting. So there was probably a different vibe around set than everybody trying to finish all these things up and just that momentum heading to that end game. Yeah.
And so all of that kind of put not the spotlight, but the pressure on me, like, oh, this is their final season, this is the second to last episode.
Yeah.
And this is Laura Linney. And this is a pivotal moment for her character arc, which is, as a co-star, that's what your job is to be serve up the ball, whatever the thing is.
Yep.
Make her character look good.
Look good. Yeah.
So all of that just made me more nervous.
Who directed that episode? Did she direct that episode? I know she directed.
She did direct a few episodes earlier on. It was Amanda Marsalis.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great. She's very detail oriented as well. Like for each line, like she want like a different sort of spin on it or whatever. So all of that, it was their final season. The atmosphere, it was all internal. Like there was no pressure from anyone else. Not from Laura, not from the director, not from the production crew or anyone. It was quick, but that's how professional sets are. They have the set shots lined up, and then once your take is done, they call the stand-ins, and then they set up the next shot. So it was all quick, but at the same time, it wasn't like anything they were doing to make me feel pressured. I was just putting it on myself.
Right.
But they were really,
We have a tendency to do that sometimes, don't we? Actors.
Yeah, put the
pressure. And we don't need to, is my point. We really don't. So, what was it like working on a set during COVID? Because I worked on a couple myself, and if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Ozark, for example, it wasn't actually too bad. Like I think the first few that I did during the pandemic, people were more strict about if you're not doing the shot, if you're not doing the take, then you got to keep your mask on. But actually, even for Ozark, I think it was like pretty down the line where, because this was last August where I filmed it, and it was like a year and a half past the start of COVID. So I think people were more relaxed then. But it can be annoying because you got to show up early to get the COVID tests and stuff.
Sure.
But I think now people are pretty chill about it.
Yeah, it was when I did Swagger, which was right at the beginning of COVID. We had the on-set COVID people. They even had a stick that was 6 feet long, and they would walk up to us and say, "You got to back up." Yeah, because we were shooting a basketball scene in a gym with a lot of people.
Oh, I see.
That's why they just, and to keep it efficient, they had that. So they were just like, because there were at least 100 people in that scene alone. So they had to. So
yeah, I mean, you're at a basketball thing, so
yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your audition process for Ozark? What that was like?
Yeah, I could tell you, it was one of the quickest auditions I've ever done. I think the reason why I booked it was because I didn't care so much about it. Like, I got it, I was like, oh, cool, Ozark, whatever. And I spent probably 10 minutes looking over the lines. And I don't say this because I'm bragging, I'm so good, because I've spent literally hours and hours and days working on scripts and I don't book it, which is normal. But for this particular audition, I didn't really spend much time on it. I got the page long sides. Actually, it was more than a page because they had put other background information and stuff before, which I didn't really analyze too much. I just skimmed it. Got the basic crux of the scene. Had my friend be a reader. He gave me some suggestions. I taped it on my phone, sent it in, and then I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear anything about it until maybe a month and a half or 2 months later. Yeah, I had forgotten all about it, and my agent called me and she's like, "Yeah, they want to book you for Ozark." I was like, "What?"
Nice.
Oh yeah, I auditioned for it.
Oh yeah.
So self-tape, no callback,
no callback. Yeah,
no callback, nothing.
That's awesome.
I think that's becoming a lot more common now too. In the age of COVID and moving forward, I think it's going to be that you're going to book directly from your first tape, your first audition.
Yeah, especially for the smaller roles.
I think so. But that, you make a great point. And you're probably going to see this more as you go, that the ones where you don't put that pressure on yourself to be perfect, and you just do, are the ones that you're going to book.
Right.
So
I've stopped. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's like I've stopped putting so much get in the character. I got to be in the character for a moment and then just do it, man. Just tape the freaking thing.
Yeah. And it does sound kind of cavalier, right? That we think like that as an actor, but sometimes it's what works. It really does. Like, I have people come to my studio, at my house now, and I put on tape, and it's the ones that come in and do 2 or 3 takes, and they're like, all right, yeah, that's good. Those are the ones that book it. The ones that sit there and try to perfect the take over and over again, and they do 15 different takes. They never book anything. I never see them get anything. So
yeah, and if you look at it from the casting director side or the audience's side, those 15 different takes, they're not different at all. They don't look any different. They don't sound any different. They're not going to give off any different impression.
Yep.
So there's no point. So you messed up a word. I didn't notice, and it makes no difference.
Yeah, unless you're auditioning for Fincher. Because Fincher was you had to be word perfect on House of Cards. It was it was crazy. I auditioned for him, and I auditioned for Fincher at one time, and I left, and then they called me 15 minutes later, and they said, "Hey, can you come back?" There was missing a word at one of the end of the lines, and you know what the word was at the end of the line? Please. That was the word, and they made me come back to re-record just because they forgot to put the word please in there. I was like, oh man, and needless to say, I didn't book it anyway that time. I mean, eventually I got on House of Cards, but it took 21 times. So tell me a little bit about that. You know, what shows have you auditioned for the most, and you still haven't booked anything? Because I've auditioned for ridiculous amounts of shows and just never got anything.
Well, I did audition for House of Cards quite a bit, and I had a couple of avail checks for that, but I never officially booked anything through that. For one particular show, I don't know. Ozark was my first audition for Ozark. Dynasty audition. Yeah, well, right. I didn't put any thought into it. Dynasty I auditioned for quite a bit before I booked that role.
Where did they shoot Dynasty?
Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, they've canceled it, unfortunately, but they do shoot down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, for one particular show, House of Cards probably.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, like 18 times. You know, I was 21 times. I mean,
I was 15 for House of Cards.
Yeah, and it's just so many times. And right now I'm on a streak for FBI, for CBS. I'm like 11 times I think it's been that
nice.
and again, they check my availability and they, you know, and just nothing yet. So but anyway, they keep calling us back.
Working with Laura Linney, was there anything that you came away from that experience with? Like anything that you're like, yep, I'm going to take that and file that away?
She's so focused. Like I've been on sets where names, but just I've been on sets where some of the main character, the regulars, don't seem to be as focused as much. Like they're just, hanging around, they go back to the trailers or whatever to hang out. They don't, it's just a vibe you get.
Yeah.
And then Laura is like just there. She's so focused. She's watching the crew move their stuff. I don't know if she's in her mind, she's preparing the next scene she's going to be doing or whatnot. But she's so focused, and also she's so gracious too. Like at the end of after the guy yelled, not yelled, but said, "That's a wrap for our nurse, Shravan Amin." Laura came up to me and said, "It was great working with you. Thank you so much." Which she didn't have to do because she was sitting down quite far away. Right. But she came up to me. I was like, "Oh, that's nice of her." She didn't have to do that. So yeah, just stay like her focus and presence in general is what I took away from that. Yeah.
And what? So obviously, other than suck less, what as you've taken classes and worked with coaches and whatever it was, what is the best advice you've received, or the thing that's opened things up for you and made you see things a different way?
There's so many small things that I've learned through just practice and working with coaches and readers. I would say just keep it simple as much as you can. I think that's what helped me with Ozark. I just kept it simple. I just read the script. I mean, I didn't read the lines like as if I was reading it, but I was just me in this situation. So yeah, keep it simple. I would say that was really it. There's so many small things where like picking apart the character and all that stuff. That's great. And you can learn that from a good acting teacher or any acting coach, but something that's helped me is just keeping it simple.
Right. Ken's heard me, I've told this story to Ken before, but I was listening to an interview with, I guess the guy, not the original Harry Potter on the Broadway show, the Cursed Child, but the guy that replaced him. And he said when he showed up and he took the part over, there was a note from him, from the guy who originated the role. It said, "The character's there. Don't get in his way. Just let it happen. Don't do anything extra. Yeah. Let Harry do it. Harry will do the work for you." So,
and especially with these big profile shows like Ozark, like long running shows like FBI you mentioned, they're written really well. So you don't need to do so much with the lines, like House of Cards, especially too.
Yeah, and I found that on the show that currently that I'm in, the HBO series We Own the City, that there, I had lines and I'm just like, I don't need to do anything with these. All I need to do is say them. That's it. Just say the lines. That I don't need to do anything. I don't need to put anything on it. I don't need to overanalyze it. Say the lines and say them as if it was, every day. And it works. It really does. So
I had a audition for a show on Hulu 2 months ago. I didn't book it, but the note that the casting director gave was, this is a very wordy script, but please make sure you say all the words as they're written. Mm-hmm. Like normally we don't really get that note unless it's really important, unless it's sort of House of Cards or this particular show.
Sure.
So I was like, okay. I mean, I'm always word perfect as much as I can, because I make it a point to memorize the script, and if they want to improv later, I can do that on set. Fine. But for the audition, be word perfect. But for that, especially, this character was so wordy. Like, the scene was with the main character, and the main character literally had like 1 or 2 words in between all of my long monologues, pretty much. And I didn't do anything. I just memorized the script, and I didn't put any sort of character work or scene study, or I didn't do any of that process. I just literally said the words, and that was the character. And I'd read it with a coach. I did the tape with a coach that I like working with, and she was like, wow, this is your sweet spot. I'm like, I literally didn't do anything. I'm just reading. I just memorized the script, and we're just running the scene right now. Like, and that's it. And like, sometimes that's all you need to do.
It's fantastic. It is. It's fantastic when, because there's nobody else like you. There's nobody else like me. There's nobody else like Dan. And when it comes through and you connect to the words themselves, and it feels as if you're saying those things as your first thought, as, we're talking right now, it's perfect. It really is. Right. It is perfect. So,
yeah.
And you can't, to me, as a director, I don't think you can beat that. Yeah.
Nope.
I don't think you can. I want to ask you, what else right now in your life are you passionate about? What else outside of the acting world? What are you into besides acting?
What? What's outside of no?
I know exactly. That's perfect, but
No, really. I like. So I'm following baseball a little bit more than I was last 2 seasons.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm a Yankees fan, and the way they're doing this year is pretty good. So I'm kind of following them.
Dad's face got all grumpy. He's like,
I know.
He's not a Yankee fan.
I'm not.
He's a Royals fan, I know, yeah.
So have you been down to the stadium?
Not this season, no.
Not this season? No. Are you thinking about it maybe? As the summer progresses?
We'll see. I'm not dying to go.
Yeah.
I don't like Yankee Stadium.
Okay, fair enough.
I like the history behind the Yankees, and obviously the Yankees and their old stadium. Mm-hmm. But their new stadium, I've been there a couple of times. It's nothing special.
Yeah,
I do find I loved Camden Yards. I loved Nats Park. They're like if I want to watch baseball, I'd rather go there than. And getting to Yankee Stadium is a pain in the ass too. So.
Apparently, every Yankees fan would rather watch a game at Oriole Park because that's all you get when they come.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's going to see the Orioles right now, or the Oakland Athletics. Nobody's going to either of those games.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but when the Yankees come to town, a lot of Yankee fans show up. That's true. That is true. So. But you're a big baseball fan. The Yankees are doing well, which is really nice. I'm hitting more minor league games. So
those are fun too.
Yeah, I'd like the Orioles have the Bay Sox here, so I take the kids there. The ticket prices are a lot better. The food prices are a little bit better, not much, but a little bit better. So it doesn't cost me a fortune to go to a game. Yeah. So I kind of like that. I know you guys up by you have the Somerset Patriots, which is the Yankees AA affiliate. So that might be a place to go.
Closer to me is the Binghamton Mets. Or no, they used to be the Binghamton Mets. Now it's the Binghamton Rumble Ponies.
Yes, the Rumble Ponies. I played against the Binghamton Mets many a year ago.
Yeah.
So I remember playing up there.
Rumble Ponies. That sounds like one of those gangs that the Warriors had to get past to get home.
The Rumble Pony. It sounds like a musical. Musical.
Yeah. It sounds like a cartoon. It sounds like a cartoon show, where like a kids' cartoon show, like Rumble Ponies, and they're flying in the sky, and they're spreading happiness to people.
I think you're going to have a good season with the Yankees. I think they're going to be there at the end. They'll be
there at the end. The question is, will they show up in the playoffs?
That's the question. I mean, that's always the question. Ask Dan about that. Ask Dan about the playoffs and showing up in the playoffs. The Capitals.
It's 2 weeks past, and it's still too soon, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
The Capitals broke my heart again, but that's what they do.
Well, at least you were in the playoffs. Right? The Flyers didn't even sniff the playoffs. So
yeah.
Oh well. But,
so you were a big Game of Thrones fan, at least for 6.5 seasons. You were.
Yeah. Right.
I always like to read your reviews and stuff. What do you think about the new House of the Dragon coming out?
I don't really care.
Okay.
So many of my friends have said this. I'm not really looking. Not that I'm not looking forward to it. It's just I don't have that same passion drive that I had of like, I gotta watch this show, like the way Game of Thrones did for me when it first came out. Because I've read the books up to that point. And so when Game of Thrones came on as a TV show on HBO season 1, it was like the best thing in my life to see a fantasy piece of fantasy literature come to life on a TV. I was like, wow. But now that we know the ending, and the ending was lackluster, I don't really care to know what happened before.
Gotcha.
That's cool. What else is going on right now for you? I saw you're going to be in Redacted. If you could tell us a little bit about that, and of course you're in episode 13 of Ozark. So if you're listening and you haven't seen Ozark yet, the final season, Shrave is in episode 13. So what else you got going on?
I just got done with a shoot called Redacted, which was great. Which is a weekly thing, so that felt good.
Awesome.
And that's when I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I said, "This is where I belong." Like that was a moment where that particular scene that I did, I just felt like this is it. I belong here. So that felt really good. Right now, nothing coming up. I just auditioning like everyone else.
That's our job. Our job is professional auditioner. Period.
Yeah, we are professional auditioners. Yeah.
So that's where can people follow you if they want to, keep up to date?
Just Instagram, really. If you want to see me post silly pictures of me doing random things.
Sure.
And Facebook too, if you want. But Instagram is mostly the place to be. Right?
Cool. I just put it up right underneath your picture there.
Great, I see it.
3.
And for those who aren't seeing the YouTube version with video, it's at Shrave, SHRAVE 3.
There you go. Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's a lot of spaces were just audio, right?
Yeah.
The 3, the Shrave was taken. Like, who takes Shrave?
And there were like 2 people before you that took it.
And there were, 3 is my favorite. 3 is my favorite number. So the next thing was I had to pick 3. But yeah, they could have been a 1 and a 2 as well. Like why? And the Gmail, I got the Gmail, Shrave at Gmail, which was great. But Instagram, it kind of ruined it. It's like, come on, I just want Shrave.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, oh man, we've been on for, let's say, 48 minutes. We gotta wrap it up, man. We're
we could keep going. I got time, but yeah.
I know. We could keep going. Unfortunately, we've stacked them up today. We got a bunch of podcasts actually. People coming on. Okay. So yeah, we need to keep it moving. But I just wanted to thank you for coming on, Shrave. I mean, it's been a pleasure. We're so happy for your successes and everything that you're doing up there.
Yeah, congratulations! It's been great to see all this happening for you.
Thank you. Yeah. It means a lot.
It's fantastic, and being on a show like Ozark, such a it's going to go down in the history of TV as one of the better shows that's ever been made. So that's awesome for you. I love it. So, and then one day I can say, he came to my studio.
We're always, you're part of our Actors Club family, so we're always, kind of that's our tribe. That's our people. So,
right.
So
it
we,
is.
We always
it
take
is.
pride whenever our folks show up on not just shows, but great shows like that. So
Right.
Yep. So congratulations again, and thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan and Ken.
All right, Dan, should we have Shrave take us out and say play the theme song? If you could give us a 1, 2, 3.
Let's let people know where they can follow. They've clearly found us already, but we've got places you should follow us. Follow us on Twitter, Appletinis W Ken.
Yep, and it's the same for Instagram. It's the same thing. Appletinis W Ken on Instagram and Twitter.
We're on Facebook too. We'll have some Facebook lives coming up over the next few weeks as well. That a little different than this podcast format. That's the goofy. We get together and we actually drink on those
and interact with the audience in real time, which can be an adventure in and of itself. So it's going to be crazy. Shrave, man, take us out. Give us a 1, 2, 3. Play the theme song if you don't mind. Thanks for joining us.
1, 2, 3. Play the themes. Wow. Okay.
Let's redo that. Yes. Cut.
Reset. Back to 1.
Back to 1.
Wait, I had one job. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Play the theme song.
Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Appletinis with Ken. Oh. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Oh. Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh.